morning, another day, another real world test. Today we're doing it on the Motorola RAZR Plus, also known as the Motorola RAZR 40 Ultra in Europe, which actually where we are right now. And at the moment I'm actually on a bit of a wander after a work trip in Paris and Istanbul, where I actually filmed another real world test. I'll link that below. But then I came here to the UK for a bit, and while here I decided to do a very important pilgrimage, we'll call it, of which Glasgow here in Scotland is a necessary stop. So let's continue on that journey, and we'll test out the phone all while we explore as per the usual. But first things first.
Coffee. Check. Okay, so I've been in Glasgow for a few days and I've been working and just trying to explore whenever I can before we head out on this journey that we're about to do. But every day, basically, I have come here for coffee and breakfast in the city center of Glasgow. Now it's called Spitfire Cafe, and as the name would suggest, it is a cafe adorned with memorabilia of the famous Royal Air Force fighter plane, the Supermarine Spitfire, which is fun. But the reason I keep coming here is because of the fantastic coffee and food, like the breakfast burrito that shocked me with how good it was, and the meat roll with a runny fried egg, sausage, caramelized onion chutney, crispy onions, and the very Scottish black pudding. Now if you're unfamiliar, black pudding is essentially UK blood sausage made of pork or beef blood, fat, and a grain. And as unappetizing as that may sound to some of you, one, it's a great way to use the entire animal, which I appreciate. And while I've had it before and it's kind of irony sometimes, this one is possibly the best I've ever had. And it doesn't have that type of flavor at all. It's actually to the point where today, I got the breakfast burrito with the black pudding in it. Also, adding their habanero hot sauce is a good way to kind of cut the fat of it when you want to. It's honestly so good. Okay, while we're enjoying this, let's talk a bit about the RAZR Plus's design. Firstly, it's apparently the thinnest folding phone on the market at just 15.1 millimeters thick. It's also gapless with its hinge design, and the crease is at least a little less visible than most, but not by much. And it's even IP52 water resistant. You have the choice of 3 colors, Viva Magenta being the best one, in my opinion, followed by the Glacier Blue, and then the a little bit boring, but I guess classic we could call it, black, which is what I have here. Now the inner display is a 6.9-inch POLED display that is bright enough to see outside, which is all I really care about, and also has a 165 Hz refresh rate that when you turn it on, makes animations and scrolling feel smoother by refreshing the image on the display 165 times a second. And it can also go down all the way to 1 Hz or 1 time a second to save battery if you're, say, looking at a static image or something similar. And the piece de resistance, we have the largest outer display on a flip style folding phone so far. It's a 3.6-inch POLED, also very bright display on the outside, and its refresh rate is 144 Hz, so it's still super fast for animations and scrolling. And right off the bat, I just feel like this is what most people want for a flip style folding phone. This full screen on the outside, and a more normal size nowadays inner display when unfolded. Now swiping left and right on the outer display gives you panels, as Motorola calls them. Basically, they're kind of what we're more used to with flip phones, where it mimics the smartwatch approach that allows you to have widgets essentially, and Motorola creates all of these. There aren't any third-party ones other than Spotify. We have one for home, an app launcher, calendar, weather, games, Google News, Spotify, and contacts. And you can rearrange or remove any of them as you see fit. Something else unique about the software for the outer display is that you can run most apps on it. I was told that you're only restricted by Android itself deciding if an app can load on that screen, but of all the apps that I have installed on my phone right now, only 3 apps don't show up as options, but they're Files, the Google app, and the Settings app. So not anything I really care about. If you tap and hold on the indicator at the bottom on the external display, it'll make the app go full screen, or you tap it again and it'll jump above the cameras. Now, for the most part, apps put controls down here, so as nice as it is to have the full display, you'll have a lot of your apps in the upper portion. But even with that, you still get notifications and status things like battery in that lower portion to the left of the cameras, and the upper portion is still larger than any other flip phone. Something I noticed and appreciated was the fact that the buttons for volume are actually swapped correctly, which could have been a mistake if they didn't do that. You can also set specific apps to automatically open on the outer display when you close the phone with them open. Or by default, there's a button that you can tap on the outer display for a few seconds right after you close the phone, which is the way I prefer it. And if the app is open on the external display, it will automatically open when you open the phone, which makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I really like the outer display. The ability to use any app that you want on that outer display, while not always terribly useful, is just a great option to have. I've used it for Notion for my workouts, and then switch over to Spotify for the music, then maybe use it for Google Maps and leave the directions going in my pocket on the outer display so that I can take it out for a sec really quickly to see if I'm still on the right track. Maybe even check Telegram or WhatsApp messages and reply quickly. And it even has a full-sized keyboard. Truthfully though, is it practical? No. I mean, how much harder is it to just open the phone, or, if you had a non-folding phone, just take it out of your pocket? But it's cool, no?
Just like that, it's gone from bright sunshine to wind and rain. It's not on this list. Great.
At the airport trying to find the bus that I need, because the website for the bus doesn't have any information. I was told to go to the taxi desk saying that they could help with the bus system as well. No one's here, and it tells me to call this number. When I do, it rings the phone behind the desk, like an iPhone just sitting behind the desk. Super helpful.
We found it. Okay, now that I've found where the bus supposedly stops, hopefully, I still have an hour to kill before it arrives, so I guess it's time to find some snacks to take with us on the bus, because we're about to get on a 3-hour bus ride. Huh.
I bet that's actually a good potato chip.
We made the boat. Said check-in closed at 5:30. We got here at 5:30. So, I was a little scared. Not okay. All right. Made it 3 hours on the bus, and now 2 hours and change across to the island.
I'd like to welcome you on board the Motorola for the scheduled sailing to Bordeaux.
Welcome to the island of Islay, also known as the Queen of the Hebrides. Now, it's a 240 square mile island that is the southernmost island in the Inner Hebrides Islands of Scotland. It's been a part of the Gaelic kingdom that was here in the 6th century, up until it was conquered by the Vikings in the 9th century, making it a part of the Kingdom of Isles at that time, until it was retaken by the Scottish in the mid-15th century. But today, its some 3,000 inhabitants are known for agriculture, tourism, and the reason that I'm here today, Scotch, which we'll find and talk a bit more about later. Right now, let's talk a little bit more about the RAZR Plus. Firstly, as we touched on, it's cool. As in, it's unique. It feels good. You feel good using it, maybe. It's stylish, novel. Now, none of these things, though, are practical advantages of a folding phone, but they are still motivational factors for a lot of people. But are there any more practical benefits to having a flip folding phone like this one? And yes, there are a few. Firstly, as with all folding phones, they are their own built-in stand. You can use the phone folded and put content up on top, and the hinge is sturdy enough that you can position it and it'll stay to a point, so you can watch YouTube or Netflix or Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Now, this is a benefit to all flip phones, though, that are out right now for the most part, and Samsung, I feel like, is kind of a bit ahead with the software side of things, as when you bend their phones with an app open, it'll automatically assume you want to use it like this and move the app up to the top half. It adds a small control panel thing that, as I've mentioned in my videos on the Flip 4 and the Fold 4, is kind of useless, really, except for the fact that it's a clever way to push things up. Now, the RAZR, though, hasn't really gotten there yet, so you have to select another app, and it can do split screen with it to get the app that you want up to the top. Some of it will still be in the crease a little bit sometimes, too. It works, though, but it shows a difference between Samsung's iterations on the software over generations of phones compared to the RAZR Plus. Now, the only time that this does happen automatically for the RAZR Plus is the camera, which is great, and it brings us to the next big use case for flip phones. You can use them as camera tripods. Now, you can set up the phone folded and use a timer to take photos that way without needing a tripod of some sort. And actually, most phones like this let you use palm detection to trigger a photo. This one does as well, but unlike the other companies, it only works on the selfie camera for some reason. And regardless, you can use this vertically and horizontally too as well. And again, with all flip phones that have external displays, you can use the external display by tapping this button to show a preview of what the rear cameras see on that display. And this means that you can use the rear cameras to take selfies. They're much better quality than the front cameras, of course, and this is one of those situations where the external display being so much larger is a practical benefit, as you can see a lot more of the photo during the preview. Now, lastly, and possibly the biggest practical benefit of a flip-style folding phone is the fact that it folds down to a size we've only had before smartphones. And there is something really nice about your phone just fitting in your pocket, your wristlet, your bag, etc. Now, as for battery life, as with all of the flip-style folding phones that I've used, it's not great. I actually had to recharge it on the bus and then continue to do so on the ferry. But truthfully, this seems to just come down to the fact that the form factor lends to smaller batteries to keep the phone small, and dual screens probably doesn't help. Now, here is my screen on time and usage for today, for anyone who's curious about that. Keep in mind, though, of course, as always, this is a real-world test day and not a normal day. I use the phone and the camera way more than I usually would. But here's another day that was more normal, so you have something to compare it to. Bottom line, though, maybe invest in a battery pack if you plan to be away from a charger for a while. Now, when you do charge it, we do have fast-ish, kinda 30-watt wired charging, which works with any power delivery capable charger, and we have 15-watt wireless charging. Speaking of charging, let's put it on its charger now because it is bedtime. I mean, it is midnight and the sun just went down like not that long ago. We're really far north. I get it, but it takes some getting used to. But regardless, we have to get up early tomorrow because we have one thing left to do. Morning. Another day. Same real-world test. This is day 2 of us testing the Motorola RAZR Plus while I'm on my pilgrimage, and we have to hurry because I can't be late for the thing I came all this way for.
Okay, had a quick bite and then kind of run out the door because I'm really scared of being late. We have a 30-minute walk now to where we're going. Also, the weather. I get it now, the Scottish thing, but you just never know what it's going to do. I walked out, bright and sunny, was like, oh, forgot my sunscreen, that's going to suck. And now I'm cold and it is windy, clearly. Scottish weather. I'm very unprepared. Also, speaking of, forgot my umbrella that we bought in Glasgow. So and it started to rain.
Welcome to the Lefroy Distillery here on Islay. Now, I've been drinking this scotch for a very long time. It's a very polarizing scotch. I feel like people either love it or they hate it. It's peaty, which is that smoky sort of flavor that all the scotch on this island is kind of known for, but it might be the peatiest one. To me, it kind of tastes like a campfire in the best way. I like this scotch so much that I'm actually a member of their website, but with that, technically, you get a 1 foot by 1 foot plot of land here at the distillery, and also you are leasing that land to Lefroy, who then owes you a dram of scotch when you come here once per year. Let's go collect my scotch and claim my land.
Okay, believe it's right there somewhere. I mean, it's been dry. Maybe I should have took the wellies?
Land. Dram. Cheers. Multiple planes, if we're honest. A very long bus ride, a decent amount ferry ride, and then a walk. Culminating to this point. Worth it. Cheers. Okay, now that I've completed my pilgrimage, let's wrap up our thoughts about this RAZR Plus review. And while we're here in this setting, let's talk a bit about the cameras. So like the Samsung Galaxy Flip 4, we have two rear cameras. We have a 12 megapixel f1.5 main wide camera with 1.4 micron sized pixels, and we have a 13 megapixel ultra wide camera capable of also doing macro when you tap the button for macro mode in the viewfinder for closer up shots. Something I also like that is uniquely Motorola is the twist of the phone to launch the camera. It's kind of convenient. You can also obviously double tap the camera button like you can on most manufacturers of Android phones. For video, we can shoot in 4K up to 60 frames per second on the main camera and the front camera only, but not the ultra wide. That's 4K 30 for some reason. Now, as per the usual though, I will let you guys be the judge of the footage and the photos that you see throughout this video. Let me know though in the comments below what you guys think. I always appreciate hearing from you guys. Okay, now overall, I think the RAZR Plus is welcomed competition to Samsung, especially in markets like the US, where they don't really have much competition. Now, we expect the Flip 5 to have a very similar external display, but the fact that Motorola beat them to it, I think has to push Samsung and the rest of the flip folding market forward a bit. Now, it's also $999 for the RAZR Ultra model, but Motorola told us there will be a, quote, meaningfully less expensive, end quote, regular RAZR this year as well, which again, just overall helps the overall folding phone market come down in price and help with that barrier to entry for people. Now, Motorola, at least for now, has something that the other flip folding phone companies do not, and that is the fact that it is a RAZR, and the other ones aren't. And nostalgia is a hell of a drug. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, always appreciate hearing from you guys. Also, subscribe if you're not already and ding the bell so you get notified when I do new videos. Plenty of other tech to test out and lots more places to explore. Let me know what you guys also think of my weird little format that I do. Been doing it for years now. I'm kind of pushing it to the extent that it is now. Curious about your thoughts about that. I'm enjoying it, but I hope you guys are too. And with that, I'm going to continue exploring Islay for a bit. I'll see you next time. Seagulls! God damn it, seagulls. Chatty birds today. All of a sudden, a crow. I'm getting cold. Welcome to the Lefroy Brewery. It's not a brewery. And this seems a good place. Nope. Car. Funny. I'm gonna drink the noise away. I have this with me still. Is 1 foot by 1 foot enough for like a lawn chair? Can I just sit here? This would just be my spot. You live here. It's just a very peaceful field, I'm not gonna lie. And one of my favorite scotches across the street. Yeah, I could live here.